Hey guys, today we're going to have a look at supplier invoicing for self-billed suppliers. In order for a supplier to be self-billed, you will have needed to fill out government documentation and had yourself and the supplier sign it to enter into a legal agreement that you are able to raise invoices on their behalf. To do this, we can go into Look Up Suppliers and Drivers Details and select the supplier in question. And if we click on the link on the right here, that will take us to the government website where we will be able to download these forms and then print them out, get them signed and get them sent back to the taxman. Once we have got them signed, we can then tick this supplier for self-billing and we can put in the date that the agreement was made. Once the date is in here and they're ticked for self-billing, any jobs that are completed on or after that date will be entered as self-billed jobs and we'll be able to raise invoices for them. Once we have jobs in there for self-billing, in order to create the invoices for them, we would go into Finance and Supplier Self-Billing. Just before I do that, I want to go into Finance and Sales Invoices. This screen you should now be familiar with, and this is where you would create your sales invoices to pass on to your customers for them to pay you. What I want to bring your attention to in here is the settings at the top here where we have an area to put the invoice date, an area to filter out for specific customers, an area to produce invoices, and an area to reprint invoices should we need to. If we come out of that screen and now go into the supplier self-billing screen, you can see here that it is very similar to the sales invoices screen. We have an area to put our invoice date, we have a filter to filter for specific suppliers, we have an area to produce our invoices, and we have an area to reprint them should we need to. In order to select invoices or select jobs for invoicing, exactly the same as with the sales invoices, you can select specific jobs to invoice, or we can select the multi-select tool and pick a number of jobs and click mark for invoicing and it will mark all of those, or indeed you can unmark for invoice and it'll unmark those. Or if we're doing a sales batch run, we can just select all and it'll select all the jobs there. Just unselect those and I'll just zero these back up again. So when you come into this screen, the actual cost will all be zeros. Estimated cost is what we have as a cost against those jobs. Typically, your actual cost should be the same as your estimated cost, and when you click on process, it will update that automatically. If there is already an actual cost placed against a job, when you go to process it, you'll get a pop-up asking you if you want to replace the current with the estimated. I'll say no for a moment, just save it at that point. If you have a large number of invoices that you're doing in a run, and there are some places where the prices are different, then you may need to find those. This can be done by clicking on the Show Differences, which will highlight the lines that have a difference in price. If it is a mistake and you know that it should be the 112.50 in this case, the simplest way to change it back is to untick it and retick it, and this time answer yes to the question. Then if we show differences, it will remove that red line. Once we have selected our jobs that we want to invoice for, we will need to save the selection and we'll go onto our Produce Invoices area. Now the actions are exactly the same as in the sales invoices. We can preview, we can commit and preview, which will then allow us to print out the invoice, and we can commit an email, which will commit the invoice, show us a preview that we can print out, and it will automatically email the correct invoices to the correct suppliers, providing that the suppliers have an email address set up against them in the lookup suppliers table. Typically there is only one invoice template in here, which is the standard self-billing invoice. However, if you have paid for a customized invoice, this is where you'll be able to select them from the drop down box. Once we have selected which invoices we want to create and what action we wish to do, we can simply click on Go, and you can see here that it has put an invoice number against the jobs. So in this case, the jobs for David Bowie are all invoice 5000, and the jobs for Jane Doe Logistics are 5001. Although this is only a preview, so it hasn't stamped those invoice numbers against it. If I drag in the invoices that have been produced, we can see the invoices for David Bowie has his jobs listed on here and his amount due to you at the bottom here, and this can then be passed on to the driver or the supplier with the amount that you are paying him. If I go on to the next one, we can see the ones for Jane Doe's Logistics, and again the jobs that she's completed and the summary at the bottom here. Thanks for watching.